Well, here we are, working on the Comet F466. That's F for Frankentrain 466, serial number 01. Oh boy, I have limitations, I've got this power supply transformer, and it will go. I mean, if I crank it, it'll go up to 15 volts, so it's a good power supply. Comes in as AC. A couple of things I'm trying to do is run this DC motor and run some other stuff that requires DC, and then I've got my smoke system out that I'm going to be using. Pretty exciting. There are, as I point out, 2 exhaust ports for those diesel engines. I'm not sure if this is the main and this is a auxiliary for generator or what, but I was forced at gunpoint by she who must be obeyed to clean the garage this morning. Yes, I finished in a total sweat ball. It was terrible. But in the process, look what I found. A vacuum tee from a past project that was not used. And what can we do with a vacuum tee, might you ask? Well, there's the exhaust port of my fan-driven smoke, and hello, a little right angle, and we'd have 2 outlets of the smoke system coming out the diesel. Is that cool or what? This is an older design, but it's still quite functional. I have a DC fan motor, a DC motor with a little fan inside here. You can't see it. It sucks air in from the side like a fish would pull air in, but then it pushes it out through a port that's in the top. Can't really see it. There's a hole in here for the air to go through it when this is pushed down, but it actually pulls air in, pushes it out this hole. That's what this fan does. That's what this whole friction thing does. Through this cap here, I hang a heater. That's what this is going to be. The heater gets hot. Let's see if I can pull this out with one hand. I may be able to because I just slid it in. Okay, there we are. So this would hang down from there and get hot, and this material is the packing, they call it, for smoke, and we put smoke oil in there. This is one of my favorite coffee. I have some others, and so this gets warm and it generates smoke. The fan blows out that little hole there, and it blows it down that other, there's another hole on the other side, blows it across. There it is, blows it across the smoke, comes out that hole. Now this is normally what we use in our steam engines, right? If we want to have smoke in the steam engine, I do that. But now we're looking at a diesel, so it's a little different ball game. I can see I'm going to have to build a platform for this thing. I've got mounting screws underneath it where I bolt it to the adapters for the steam engine, so I'm going to have to create an adapter for the diesel engine. This is a single drive. It's a lot easier here because I have a whole platform for gear, where with the dual drive coming up, you have the very small platform, and that would mean the smoke may have to actually go in the B unit, which would be undriven. But in any case, so what I'm doing today, this is a volt regulator. He only wants about 9.5 volts. We don't want him to get too hot because this is 3D printed plastic. Even though this has carbon fiber impregnated, it can get overheated. Put it that way. It turns into a mess. Okay. So this is a volt regulator, and I've adjusted it with the AC coming in. But the AC, this is only a DC power. It only works on DC. The AC ones are bigger and cost more. But I put in a volt regulator. You can barely see it. It's a black thing right there. And it not regulator, excuse me, rectifier. It takes AC and clips it down to DC, but it creates some little ripples. So there's a huge capacitor in there that stores it and kind of smooths it out a little bit. So this is smoothed out DC coming from my blunderbuss transformer coming into this volt regulator, and it clamps down on that anywhere from 5 to 15 volts, and it only allows about 9.5 maximum, and then it comes down to about 8 at idle. So this will stay warm enough to smoke throughout the range, but it won't overheat anything. I also added, if you can notice, I had one nice heat sink, and then one, I just had some angle iron up on top of my little shop here and cut off a chunk of aluminum angle iron, sawed some holes in it and drilled and tapped it and screwed it to the other side. Okay, it's rude and crude, but I've done this before, and by golly, it does help. It sinks a lot of heat and allows it to get out. Now, this probably won't even fit, so in the end, I'll have to do something smarter, okay? But yeah, I did find out that when I clipped out the field coils here, I clipped those out, and that resulted in 28 feet of this wire missing from the circuit. Then the power controller starts to say, I'm getting hot over here. For some reason, the load's too light. So heat sink is one, and the other is tapping this smoke system off of the train power is going to help disseminate some of this energy as well. That's my theory anyway. So here we are. What I thought I'd do is give you the show and tell quickly on this rectifier. So I'm going to crank this dude up. We're at 5 volts. Red light pops up, says we're active, and we got 4 volts at smoke. The engine's probably not going to be running it till about 30 anyway. That gives us 8 volts. We got 8 volts coming in. It's not wired in, but it should be running a little bit. And we've got the red light, and we got 7.8 volts to this heater coil. And the heater coil is a little warm, let's say that. And I don't like to saturate it, but I could put a dot out on the end so you can see. All right, that's a big dot, wasn't it? Okay, so it will smoke at 7.8, and this fan is blowing, and that fan cools it down, and it's a contraption. You'll see later when I get this thing up and running. But now let's say I get excited and I want to go somewhere, and I start taking it up to 60. Now at 60, from 30, it's got the capacitor and some other things, so it's kind of slow on the come down. But at 60, it'll go up to 9.5, and it will stay there all the way up to 15 volts. Okay? So 9.5 at 15 volts, 9.5 at 60 volts, and about 8 at 30 is what we're going to be seeing from the smoke system. There's 30. Right. There's 60. So half speed, you're going to get all the heat you need for smoke, and the motor's going to pump it out. It'll be on a slow speed, so it'll just be a drizzle. I'll try to increase it with speed, of course, but the motor controller is another piece I have to put in here. So this is going to start to get a little busy with the converter, the regulator, the smoke motor controller, and then the engine controller. It's going to start to get busy. This lead weight's going to have to go away to give me more room. And I'll probably build a plastic 3D printed frame to hold all this stuff so it doesn't touch. If it touches, sometimes you get smoke in the wrong place, not here, but smoke over here, and that's bad. All the electronics operate on smoke. That's their blood. And if smoke leaves the system, they die. It's just a proven fact. I've seen it many times. Okay, so that's what I've done. That's where I'm at, and that's what I'm going to get going. Oh, and while we're here, I thought I'd come in and show you a version. This is not the final version, but it's a version of this wheel pickup for the powered unit. You know the wheel pickup for the unpowered unit. Wow, that's still warm, rascal. But what I've put in is I replaced that piece, right? The little gear cover. I've replaced it with a piece of plastic that I've designed, drilled and marked up and carried on. But at any rate, it clears, pretty much clears as it operates. And I get that back out of the way. And it has a little piece of wire, and it's sort of like a spring, and it rubs on that wheel. You can see where it's been rubbing, and it picks the power up off that wheel and brings it up over here, and it joins here. And these are the frame powered wheels on this side. So these wheels are on the frame, and this wheel is independent, but they're on the same piece of track. Okay. So whatever's here, positive or negative, it's going to be the same. Common or ground, hot or common, whatever. All this side. Now, when it comes to these insulated wheels, we're going to have a problem, but I have an idea. Even though they're insulated, the rim itself is available for contact, but I got to be careful with this piece here, so I may have to introduce a piece of insulation to keep the pickup from touching the frame accidentally. But at any rate, I'll come to that another time. I'm going to work on what I'm calling 6-wheel pickup, 4 and 2, and the smoke and the heat sink and blah blah blah. We're going to see how far I can get, and I'm so lucky it's only 4 o'clock and we're all healthy and energetic and full of beans. So I'm really cranking on this, and I would like to get it going. Oh, another thing I was going to show you. Hey, get back. This was the original. It's magnets. You stay. Okay, here we go. This is the original field for that motor, or one like it. This was the original. This is the one I took apart, cut up, and stuffed magnets in. And this is the wire that came off of it, 28 feet. That's what's on here too. But in the course of doing this, I didn't do a very good job. It's not aligned well. Even though I tried to put it back as good as I could, I didn't have the right fixtures. I didn't have skills and other things you need to have to do things. So it wasn't working very well. I was disappointed. I mean, I had it run, but it wouldn't start, and it was just intermittent. It was just too unreliable, but it did run, so I could say yes, it will work. That's when I went to the other one, and what I did with this one was I didn't cut it all the way through. Well, I cheated. I went to the pull more, which is much wider, and actually left me 3 plates on either end that I did not have to cut. So it was an intact unit with like a hole in it. And I only put 2 magnets down because I had to do all this by hand, and it was really time consuming and it wore me out. But I got the 2 magnets in there, and it's intact, and it fit nice, and it stayed nice. And I just held it with my hand, and the motor ran beautifully and started. So I feel really confident that doing this will work. Now I got to make sure he doesn't overheat, and then put in some accessories that show why we go to DC and what we can do with an engine that might be a little more exciting with lighting, because now not only lighting, but I can do the headlight okay, but I can also do the marker lights, and I can put down here ditch lights, which I've done on some. Boy, when this comes around a corner out of like a tunnel somewhere, it's really exciting. We could put in a little fake cab and a couple of guys sitting at a thing and blah blah blah, and then backlights, rear warning lights, and a backup light, plus the smoke. I've found a sound chip that works with one of my old soundboards. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I gotta have sound. You put the DC motor, the fan, the smoke, and then sound and the lights. This engine, even in its condition it is in, which is okay, but it was played with, okay? It was enjoyed, is how some people would say that. It's got 2/3 of its horn, if that. It's got rubbed on the nose quite a bit, probably for good luck. But, I mean, it's still it's a good looking engine, light blue and yellow with bright silver. I think it's a good looking engine. I'm going to give it my best shot, try to turn it into something, and use this as a basis for the next one. I have other Alcos over there. You might see one. I got the all silver one that's just waiting. I got another one over there that's a dual drive. I'm gonna figure out what I need to do and build up those engines as well. So anyway, holy cow, this is going on. And you didn't see anything run. Maybe we should try to do that. Let's see. If I put this here, and then I take this and put this here, and I have this on my little thing, turn this back on, give it some juice. It's not happy. It's just mad at me. Oh boy, that's what I get for trying to show off. Yeah, it's getting power. What's the matter with you boys? What? Is that in the way? Maybe that's in the way. I don't know if I like that. Okay, he's there. I didn't do anything. Unless I bent these too much and broke them. That would be sad. But it looks like it's a possibility. Oh no, it's trying. It's trying. It's pulling 2.5 amps and it's not going anywhere. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, all right. So much for showing off. That's not bound up. It's going, but it's not going. I'm betting you I've done something to my board. Oh yeah, they're warm. Those are warm. They're warm. It's going somewhere. I don't know where. Oh, it's starting to smoke. Oh, great. Well, meanwhile, back at the ranch, 17 minutes and you didn't even see it run. Okay, well, I'll dig into this and see. Oh, those are so long. I bet they're touching. Okay, I'll figure it out later.